Inciting people to go kill Mormons, like you're inciting people to attack ICE, like you're inciting people to attack Republicans. That doesn't happen. And if you look in the inner cities, Democrats are slaughtering each other day after day after day, and you don't say anything about that. You ask this question, well, does the base want people to die? Yeah. Did you see the poll where it was like 20% of Democrats said they believed in political assassinations? Did you watch the aftermath of the Charlie Kirk killing? I mean, everybody was clapping on campus. Yeah, he deserved it, Jessica. Now, if I had won a swing state Senate race after having a stroke against Moneybags, celebrity Republican, I think people should listen to me. This guy is like a symbol for the working class. He even has the hoodie, and you'd think the Democrats would listen to him. They don't listen to him. They listen to crazy liberal ladies in the cities. And I do feel conflicted, though, because, Jessica, when people say, there's this guy and these ICE people are so crazy, I get mad because it's a lie. But then, when she says these ICE people are abducting and kidnapping innocent hairdressers and sending them to dungeons to be tortured, I think, well, that's scaring a lot of illegals to go home themselves. So the next time Jessica brings up all these scare stories about all of these illegals getting rounded up indiscriminately, innocent people being sent overseas, I'm just going to say I agree. Because 2 million illegals have seen these scare tactics that Jessica likes to talk about, and they have left by themselves.
Want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Hey. Why this beat so crazy?
We will make America proud again. And you try to kill our we will make America wealthy again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
Oh boy, Jesse is at it again. You just can't make this up. But I remember just like 2 days ago, he bodied Jessica once again after she cried over Comey's indictment. I mean, man.
Preemptive pardons because he knew that you were a vengeful bunch of babies.
But who didn't get it? But who didn't get the pardon?
Send that heifer to the View, the spew. I don't even know why she's still on Fox. She done ran everybody away from Fox, if you ask me.
Comey missed out on the
Comey didn't get the pardon. So this is just the beginning. Everybody has to have their house in order. They got to make sure their taxes are right. They got to make sure they never lied to Congress. They have to make sure they never committed mortgage fraud. Because the difference here is these things are actual crimes. When you lie to Congress, it's a crime. When you obstruct an official investigation, that's a crime. They didn't have to bake up some fugazi, untested, unprecedented law thing like Bragg. Oh, Eric Siebert. He's basically Comey's best friend. He got stuck in there.
Is that why Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche defended him?
His son-in-law is in there. And then, all of Comey's, misfits are sitting in there. You get them out of there, clean out the scum, and put real people in there to do the job.
And Bondi.
Yeah, Cash Patel's a serious guy. And all he's doing is making it right. Now, Jessica,
he said he didn't know if Epstein ever trafficked anyone.
I'm not talking about
Epstein. Guy. No, that's about Cash Patel's seriousness.
We really don't care what you guys say or what you think or how loud you're complaining, because you guys did this, you started it, and we're going to finish it.
Does this count as Jessica's time?
No.
I do want to get to an example.
Oh boy. But that brings us into this that just took place a couple of hours ago. Yeah. What an absolute disgrace. Well, look, a lot of y'all getting that go around and find out treatment. Yeah, we seeing arrest. This is good. Yeah, Trump deploying the National Guard. People need to be made an example out of, man. These paid protests, they out there screaming and hollering, wasting people's time, man.
Anti-ICE chaos erupting outside a facility in Portland, Oregon over the weekend as President Trump vows to use, quote, full force if necessary sending in 200 members of the National Guard to help quell that violence. And that ICE facility in question has been the scene of nightly protests for several months, and that's plagued local residents there. However, Oregon doesn't want the help. The state attorney general filed a federal lawsuit to block the Guard, and the governor chimed in too.
Portland and the state of Oregon believe in the rule of law, and we can manage our own local public safety needs. There is no insurrection. There is no threat to national security.
They always look alike, huh? You know? Rachel Maddow. The Rachel Maddow crew. If you know, you know. We seen Mark Cuban put the glasses on. Everybody always got the glasses on.
There is no need for military troops in our major city.
So it's not just Oregon. Dozens of federal immigration agents patrolling the downtown area of Chicago. That's after protests erupted at the ICE processing center in the Chicago suburb of Broadview, Illinois. DHS says police have taken guns off the hands of some of those protesters. And Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, well, he's not happy about the deployment.
We received numerous confirmed reports of federal agents from ICE and Customs and Border Patrol abusing their power, intimidating innocent civilians, and waging war on our people. All of this has been aimed at causing chaos and mayhem. This is about sowing fear and intimidation and division among Americans. Our residents and visitors who are shopping and eating are made to feel unsafe by the jackbooted thugs roaming around a peaceful downtown.
Jesse, this reminded me a
Pillsbury
little
Doughboy.
bit of scenes we've seen in the past, like in 2020 when you had the protests and people would say, oh, it's mostly peaceful, but in the split screen you see that it's not. Or during the border crisis, you would have Democrats say the border is secure, Corinne Jean-Pierre saying the border is secure. Meantime, we've got Bill Malugin or Griff Jenkins down at the border and you see the split screen. Of course, there are very nice
Pretty cool to see Lawrence on the 5 today.
parts of Portland, but are they denying that that is actually happening, what you're seeing on the screen?
Well, they're saying it's like heads I win, tails you lose. So if Trump sends the Guard in and there's a huge clash with Antifa, he's going to say, see, these people are crazy. Thank God we sent these guys in. But if he goes in and it's calm and he can pacify it, he can say, see, I did to Portland what I did to D.C. This is working. You know when you drop a popsicle on the ground, Dana?
Yeah.
And all the ants come in and they start eating it and they get stuck in the popsicle. This is what's going to happen in Portland. Every Antifa is going to come out of the woodwork and they're just going to clash with ICE and the troops and they're just going to get arrested. And that's the point. We're going to round these people up, and then when you hit them with federal charges, not these small ball misdemeanors from some Soros DA, they're looking at 20 years. So they're going to snitch on their comrades, their financiers, and we'll be able to roll these guys up pretty well. These are not small crimes. This has been like a 3-month siege at a federal courthouse. They've shot lasers into the eyes of federal law enforcement, blinding them. They've cut out the fiber optics of the building so they have no internet. Arson, assault. They've barricaded the building so you can't get ICE fans in and out of there. It's a big problem. And SCOTUS has already said he's allowed to do this. I don't understand the Democrats with these bad optics. They thought it looked good in L.A. when guys were waving Mexican flags and torching cop cars, or it looks good when you're against the crime crackdown in D.C. and that city's like the most peaceful city in the country now. I believe, and Jessica will probably agree with me, they would rather have crime high than give Trump credit for lowering it. Because the crime in Portland's been bad. The murders have doubled. Arson's up. Violent assault is all up. And he's going to be going city to city throughout the entire year, hammering crime, hammering illegal immigration. And what are Democrats going to do? They're going to be pro-crime, pro-illegal immigration. And they're going to look dangerous, and they're going to look reckless, and they're going to look stupid. And you can't defend MS-13, criminals, Antifa, late-night millionaires, Comey, while the president is out there defending police, citizens, the military. It's just a bad look, and they're making the same mistakes they made going into the last election.
Jessica, one of the things my friend in D.C., they said that on Capitol Hill, they were walking around the other night. The National Guard was there. Everybody seemed happy with it. The mayor seems to have accepted them. And so that as that works there, if there is proof of concept in other places like Chicago or Portland, will the protests back down?
Well, there's a difference between D.C. and these other places because Donald Trump is actually in charge of D.C. The other states elect their own governments, and they are the ones who are responsible for the health and safety of their citizenry and have a right to push back against a president that has not been invited to send his troops. And he's already been overruled by a court for what he did in Los Angeles, where they said you can send them, but they can only guard that building. So we're going to have a couple hundred National Guard members standing around one building. And that's what it's going to end up being. Or you'll have scenes like we had from Chicago. I'm sure you guys saw a delivery guy went by ICE officers that were standing there wearing masks just in the middle of the day, a nice kind of, fall day in Chicago. And I think he yelled F Trump at them. And then you see them chasing him down the street and he gets away. And that's what a lot of people think is going on here, that it is unnecessary. And that doesn't mean that there isn't a way to work together, maybe, on the south side of Chicago. But in Oregon, I trust the AG there who says we have enough people to deal with this, and they have been dealing with it for several months. President Trump and the administration want to normalize militarized cities. They've talked about it. It doesn't bother them. It doesn't bother Jesse. He would, if we walked outside there, he wouldn't be upset if he saw a militarized New York City.
Kathy Hochul put the guard in the subway, and you didn't have a problem with that,
Kathy
did you?
Hochul is in charge of New York City.
Let's get Jesse started. This is good. This is good. This is good.
Donald Trump is not in charge of Oregon or in charge of Illinois, but he doesn't seem to understand that. And when he floats this emergency power, says, well, I'll call a national emergency. That, to me, my spidey sense goes off. I think back to what happened in the 2020 election when he decided, I won this election, I'm going to do whatever I want in order to stay in power, that he doesn't want to have an election in 2026. He'll say, we're having an emergency, can't have our normal voting days.
She's just talking at this
can't have
point.
mail-in ballots.
Thinks he's going to win.
I don't think he thinks he's going to win.
Let me get Emily in here because Kathy
just talk.
Hochul sent the guard into the subways for 4 days to check people's, check my backpack. And then that went away because that was about politics. That wasn't about anything other than that.
Which is ironic considering that one of Oregon's arguments is that this situation is a political stunt. If Trump wants to normalize militarizing cities, which I disagree with, libs want to normalize crime. That's what's so frightening about this. The contrast to me is it would be laughable if it wasn't with the collateral damage of a totally destroyed city, of that group of 6 middle-aged women in the sunshine wearing striped sweaters in probably the Northwest District of Portland, and it's sunny and everything's awesome. And you juxtapose that imagery with what we show on our networks, which seem to escape all networks in the Portland area, of showing these federal agents being violently attacked ruthlessly and relentlessly. And the logic and the legality of the local and state officials usurping or pushing back against the usurping of President Trump's executive power only works if they haven't abdicated their duty. Homicide rose 144% since 2020 in Portland. Non-fatal shootings, 241%. And yet the mayor there dismantled their SWAT gun crimes unit. And then he tried to dismantle police responding to violence. And so when park rangers did, they had to call the cops when they had to face freaks with guns and knives. It is a joke that the Oregon state and the Oregon local elected officials seem to think the facts don't support dad stepping in when there is complete chaos with the nanny in the home when the kids are running around destroying businesses. And I feel like when we look at the prosecution rates, right, they are less than, or you could say over 80% that are declined to prosecute on the local level. Oregon thinks that posse comitatus is going to be the motto. The whole point is if you're not taking care of your citizens, state, then the federal government is going to do it for you. And any Portlandian person will tell you that it has been utterly destroyed with businesses and property values and homes, including my own dad who had to move out of the city. So we live the trash every day, all day. Please, President Trump, thank you for sending in someone that actually knows what they're doing.
I just love how the liberals are complaining and crying, saying local government, while being in sanctuary cities. like local control, while telling people, oh, you don't have to abide by federal law. You can come in here, you can break immigration law, you can hire people illegally in the country, and that's totally fine. And then when the federal government comes in and say, actually, you really don't have the authority to do that, there's something called the supremacy clause, they flood them. And they assault the cops there on the ground. Now, remember, this is a party that's defunded the police. We saw how that worked. Crime soared all over the country. They allow people to just set things on fire, assault cops on a day-to-day basis, demoralize them. And what did the residents get? Now, the people in the poor neighborhoods, they got the gangbangers running the streets because they realized there was an opening. Now you have an establishment of order now in all of these cities. Now, they did have the talking point, oh, they're just targeting liberal states. But then the Republican governors say, actually, we'll take the reinforcement. So they've changed their policy prescription. I love how Trump is doing this. I remember doing the Freddie Gray case in Baltimore. Yeah. And the mom was watching her son on TV, acting a fool, assaulting cops, throwing rocks, and she left her apartment and ran down there and pulled him by his ear and brought him back home and whooped his tail all the way home. That's what the president is doing right now. Now, when it comes to the election, who do you think the voters are going to stand by? The people that allow the criminals to terrorize them? Now, the Chicago residents, black residents, have been going to the city council meetings for months now, begging the mayor, do something about this. The residents in Portland, get these Antifa people off the street. They're taking people's power. They're setting up encampments. Who wants to needles all over the place? This is not the way to live. Now, if the libs want that, going into the next election, have at it.